One of the most inspirational stories in all of sports lies in the story of Jim Abbott. Born with one hand, he overcame his disability and went on to have a 10-year MLB career, throwing a no-hitter along the way. So let's look at the incredible story of Jim Abbott.
Totally sports-esque. Major League.
Jim Abbott was born in 1967 in Flint, Michigan, with a disability. Being born without a right hand, his right arm ends about where his wrist would be. Regardless, his parents tried to make his life normal as possible. He began showing an interest in sports at an early age, and his parents tried to nudge him towards sports that didn't depend on the use of hands. So they bought him a soccer ball, but he didn't really like playing soccer, and with everyone in his neighborhood playing baseball, he shifted towards that despite the obvious obstacles in front of him. And so he would have to work twice as hard to do with one hand while others do with two, and he would spend hours throwing a rubber ball against a brick wall and catching it on a rebound. His father helped him develop the technique of being able to throw and catch with the same hand. He would rest his glove on the end of his right forearm, then after releasing the ball, he quickly got his hand into his glove to be ready for a potential ground ball, securing the glove in his torso, removing the ball from it in order to make throws. He would continuously get closer to the brick wall to make the transition faster and smoother. And as he dealt with insecurities stemming from his disability, he felt sports gave him a way to gain acceptance, fueling his desire to succeed. And what fueled him even more is that at every level, people told him that he would not be making it to the next level. And that started at Little League. He threw a no-hitter in his first game, and despite this, people figured that the competition would soon pass him. But as it would turn out, no one would pass him. At Flint Central High School, he would dominate. During his senior year, he would win 10 games with a .76 ERA while striking out 2 batters per inning. And what surprised people even more was he was great past the mound. Not only could he field his position on the mound, he was also good enough to play outfield and first when he wasn't pitching. And with his disability, he also learned to hit by wrapping his left hand around the bat along with the stub of his right arm. And in his senior year, he would hit .427 with 7 home runs. And baseball was not the only sport he played. While his brother played football, he also played football, being the backup QB, getting to play the final 3 games in his senior season, throwing for 600 yards and 6 touchdowns in those games. He was also the punter, averaging 38 yards per kick. And with all of this, he would be drafted out of high school by the Toronto Blue Jays in the 36th and final round of the 1985 draft. But he would turn down a $50,000 signing bonus and opted to go to the University of Michigan to play baseball. Despite being drafted, Abbott still didn't receive many offers from colleges, with the doubt stronger than ever about his ability to play at the college level, with Abbott himself even having some doubts. But again, he would prove everyone wrong. After an alright freshman year, he would have an incredible follow-up. He would start 15 games, winning 11 of those with 3 complete game shutouts, striking out 60 over 86.1 innings while posting a 2.08 ERA, helping Michigan win the Big Ten and throwing a shutout in the NCAA tournament. He then earned a spot on Team USA's national amateur team. Playing the Pan American Games, he would throw a 3-hit complete game against Cuba in a warm-up game in front of 50,000. Cuba at the time considered to be the top international team, and during the games, he would have the honor of carrying the flag for the U.S. delegation. Then he would win 2 games without giving up an earned run, as the U.S. would finish second. He would end up taking home the Sullivan Award for the best amateur athlete in the country, winning over the likes of Greg Foster and David Robinson. And he would take home the Golden Spikes Award for the best amateur baseball player, winning over the likes of Robin Ventura, Jack McDowell, and Ken Griffey Jr. So all in all, it was a pretty good year, and he would have another good year the next. Not as strong as his sophomore year, he started 16 games, winning 9 of those, with 8 being complete games, pitching 97.2 innings with 82 strikeouts and a 3.32 ERA, finishing as a finalist for the Golden Spikes Award while becoming the first baseball player to win Big Ten Athlete of the Year. And again, he represented Team USA, this time in the Olympics. Though baseball was a demonstration sport, meaning no medals were given out, it was still important. And in what would be the gold medal game, Abbott would pick up a victory over Japan, a moment that he considered to be his greatest thrill. And after leading his country to victory, Abbott decided to forego his senior year and head to the majors, later having his number 31 retired by Michigan. In the 1988 draft, he would be the 8th overall pick going to the California Angels, receiving a signing bonus of $207,000. So the decision to go to college was a very good one, and with the move up to the highest level possible, more doubts naturally followed. And the doubts at every level mainly lied in his ability to field his position. Back in high school, a team once had the first 8 batters try to bunt. 1 got on, and he retired the next 7, and they would try the same thing at every level. But Abbott would prove that it wouldn't make a real difference with his quick reflexes and his experience, often dropping his glove entirely if the situation called for it. And up to that point, only 15 players in the history of the draft had gone straight to the majors, and Abbott was set to be number 16, as he was on the Angels roster to start 1989. Many expected him to start that year in the minors for the experience, but with some injuries in the rotation, he was able to secure a spot. And there were some who felt the decision had to do with public relations more than anything. Abbott was a media sensation at that point, His first appearance in spring training had to be moved from the practice field to the main stadium to accommodate the fans and media. He told the media that his throwing motion was as natural to him as tying his shoes, something he also had to do with one hand. But even with all the media attention, Abbott still had plenty of prior experience in high-leverage situations, winning the Golden Spikes Award and leading Team USA in international competition, experiences most 21-year-olds at the time did not have. So his addition to the rotation was warranted, and as had been the case at every level, his first start would be a big event. The media was out in full force at Anaheim Stadium on April 8, 1989, and that includes 4 camera crews that were there from Japan. And though Abbott lasted less than 5 innings and received a loss, he still received a massive standing ovation, with his appearance alone being historic. Baseball America ranked it second behind Jackie Robinson's debut in terms of historic debuts. He received a personal telegram from Nolan Ryan after the game, while Ernie Banks and Bobby Dorr asked for his autograph. The Warren Spahn called him his hero, doing a lot with that performance alone. And he would go on to have a pretty good rookie season, winning 12 games and losing 12 games, pitching 181.1 innings and striking out 115, finishing 5th in Rookie of the Year voting and winning the Team Rookie of the Year. And what was most impressive from the year was how well he handled the incredible amount of pressure. Turning down numerous book offers, he was noted for how he dealt with the media, gaining a huge amount of supporters who looked at him as a role model. After his good rookie year, he struggled in his second season. He had trouble holding on runners, becoming the second easiest pitcher in the league to steal on, and he had a low fielding percentage, compiling 14 losses that year with a 4.51 ERA, while giving up 246 hits, which was the most in the league. And to start 1991, he would lose his first 4 starts, prompting many to call for his demotion to the minors. But the Angels would decide to stick with him, and they would be glad when he had a breakthrough season. He would win 11 games in the second half for an 18-11 record, while pitching the most innings in his career at 243, with a 2.89 ERA and a 7.6 WAR. And going by tough losses, an advanced stat made by Bill James, Abbott would lead the league with 8, something that could have made a difference in the Cy Young race, which Abbott would finish 3rd, though it would have been hard to top Roger Clemens anyway. And perhaps the biggest highlight from the year came in spring training. Playing in the American League would not allow Abbott to hit, but in a spring training game against the Giants, he got a chance, and he would proceed to hit a 375-foot triple. And his teammates said he never stopped talking about it, which you can't really blame. And after the big year, Abbott would sign a 1-year, $1.85 million contract with the Angels after disputes, becoming the highest-paid 4th-year pitcher in MLB history at the time. And he would put up another great season, though the Angels did not. All you have to do is look at the fact that despite posting a 7-15 record, he had a 2.77 ERA, which would be a career best and the 5th lowest in the American League, posing a 5.7 WAR in 211 innings, and the reason for the record was the Angels gave the worst run support in the league, as he would go on to win 72 games. And that record was the reason he did not receive any Cy Young votes, despite having a season nearly as good as the previous one. And attempting to trim payroll, the Angels would trade Abbott in the offseason to the Yankees for 3 minor leaguers in JT Snow, Rush Springer, and Jerry Nielsen. And Abbott's time in the Bronx would be inconsistent and somewhat frustrating, as the Yankees were looking to become contenders for the first time in a decade. But his time in the Bronx also brought his career highlight on September 4th, 1993. Abbott took the mound against the Cleveland Indians at Yankee Stadium, and through 7, not one Cleveland base runner reached 2nd. 3 got on by walk, but never got past 1st. And the 8th would see a walk to Jim Thome, but Sandy Alomar grounded out to end the inning. And now Abbott was 3 outs away from a no-hitter. After the Yankees went 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 8th, the 9th started with a Kenny Lofton groundout. Then with 2 strikes, Felix Fermin hit a drive that would be caught in deep left center. And now he was 1 out away. And after delivering a strike with the whole stadium on their feet, Abbott would induce a groundout, and he had done it. Born with a disability, Jim Abbott had thrown a no-hitter for the Yankees. A feat for anyone, but extra special given the circumstances. And despite the incredible feat, a little over a week later, George Steinbrenner criticized Abbott's ability, even questioning his courage. After a start following the no-hitter, he had a 4.14 ERA with a 10-11 record, and Steinbrenner's comments did not seem to help the team, as the Yankees would end the season 7 games out of first, after being down just 1.5 games at that point. And Abbott's second season with the Yankees was not much better. Before spring training would even begin, Steinbrenner would blame his subpar 93 season on the amount of charity work he was doing, saying that he needs to give 100% of his attention to baseball. Abbott was of course shocked by the statement, actually having to defend his charity work. And another incident occurred when the Yankees invented a new glove for Abbott with a flap that was supposed to hide his grip, as it was thought that Abbott was tipping his pitches. He warmed up with it before his second start of the season, but he could not get comfortable with the new glove, and he refused to use it. The '94 season ended early because of the strike with the Yankees in first place, while Abbott would end the season with a 9-8 record and a 4.55 ERA in 160.1 innings. The Yankees did not extend an offer to him after the season, and he would become a free agent. While his time on the Yankees gave him his greatest moment in the majors, it was also marred with frustrations. And though he was expected to re-sign with the Angels, his next team was the White Sox. He pitched better than the previous year for the White Sox in the 17 games, but they decided to trade him to the Angels halfway through the year. The Angels were contenders, unlike the White Sox, and Abbott would go 5-4 for them with a 4.15 ERA, worse than his time with the White Sox, as the Angels fell just short of the playoffs. He would sign a 3-year deal with the Angels worth $7.8 million in the offseason, and while he was set for a big year, 1996 would unfortunately be disastrous. He posted a 2-18 record with a 7.48 ERA, even spending some time in the minors for the first time, which did not help. He continued with his poor performance in the spring, and the Angels would release him. He decided to sit out the entire 97 season and focus on charity work with the birth of his new daughter, and he would attempt to make a comeback the next year. And after working his way through the White Sox system, he was able to make it back to the majors, where he won all 5 of his starts. But the comeback didn't last much longer, as the White Sox did not re-sign him in 1999. He would then sign with the Brewers, where he struggled, posting a 2-8 record with a 6.91 ERA. Though he did get a chance to hit, playing the NL for the first time, and on June 15th, he would pick up a base hit, becoming the first one-handed batter to pick up a hit in the majors since Pete Gray in 1945. The Brewers ended up releasing Abbott, and after this, he decided to retire, dedicating his time to his 2 children and extensive charity work. Going from one of the best pitchers in the league to out of the league 6 years later, some blame Abbott's inability to shield his glove, his inability to hold runners and batters bunting on him. But one thing Abbott never blamed was his disability. He mainly blamed the end of his career on his inability to maintain velocity, having trouble adjusting from a power pitcher to being a finesse pitcher, going from a pitcher who regularly touched 95 to someone who sat in the mid to upper 80s. And despite how it ended, Abbott had a huge effect on the game that went past the field. Playing at any level with his disability is an accomplishment in itself, but to not just play in high school, college, and the majors, but to also excel is one of the greatest feats amongst anyone who's ever played, and sometimes overlooked, as he received numerous awards for his work past the field, estimating that he visited a child with a disability during every road trip he made in the majors, while he continues to inspire to this day, saying on his career, "My experiences added up make me feel like I've had a Hall of Fame career." Hopefully you liked this video, and if so, please consider liking and subscribing for new videos every week. Thank you.